Hello, I'm Dan Rather, and welcome to the CBS Evening News Online Edition, this time from Washington. Just ahead, a bloody day in Iraq. Insurgents set off multiple bombs across Baghdad. We'll give you full details. Also, the cost of the inaugural. Among other things, big money donors are spending plenty. What is their money buying them? We'll show you. And if you think housing prices are going sky high, you're not alone. We'll give you a look at why Americans are paying so much to keep a roof over their heads. It's all starting now on the CBS Evening News Online Edition. We begin tonight with Iraq, where terrorists trying to undermine the coming election unleashed a coordinated series of deadly attacks today. Still, CBS's David Hawkins reports U.S. officials believe they are making important progress against the enemy.
Suicide bombers driving cars and trucks loaded with explosives left a trail of death across Baghdad today as Iraqi insurgents stepped up their campaign to disrupt nationwide elections now just 11 days away. 5 separate attacks killed more than 24 people. The most wanted man in Iraq, Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, claimed responsibility for 3 of the Baghdad bombings, including the first blast, which occurred outside the Australian embassy here.
About 7 o'clock this morning, a truck was driving down the street, drove in next to the building behind me, and exploded.
2 Iraqis were killed, according to U.S. officials, and 2 Australian soldiers were among the wounded. 30 minutes later, the deadliest attack. A suicide bomber struck a police checkpoint near a hospital, killing 18. Then another blast killed 2 security guards at Baghdad's international airport. The 4th attack killed 2 Iraqi soldiers manning a checkpoint near a police recruiting facility. And later in the day, the 5th suicide bomber blew himself up outside a bank issuing paychecks to Iraqi policemen. And that's just in Baghdad. Across the country, there were reports of more bombings, assassinations, and kidnappings. In the run-up to the election, the insurgents are intensifying their attacks on Iraq's security forces and anyone and everything involved with preparations for the vote.
If they can make Iraq look ungovernable, the Americans will get the blame. And even though Iraqis are getting killed, women and children are getting slaughtered by some of these attacks, the Americans get the blame.
American soldiers are conducting operations to smash the insurgency. They've captured dozens of suspects and seized large numbers of weapons. But the plan for Election Day is for Iraq's ill-equipped police force and army to man the front lines. Despite the high number of casualties, a U.S. military spokesman called the day a success because Iraqi security forces stopped the terrorists at checkpoints before they reached their intended targets. David Hawkins, CBS News, Baghdad.
Now to the inauguration. President Bush will be sworn in for a second term tomorrow back there at the Capitol. Today, this city got an inch or 2 of snow. As stand-ins for the main players helped TV directors line up their shots, the real president checked out historic documents at the National Archives, including George Washington's first inaugural address. Plenty of George Washington's are being spent on the Bush inaugural, as CBS's Jim Axelrod reports.
Tomorrow may be Democracy's Day. But here in Washington, it's the limo driver's week.
We're trying to find fat cats. Are you a fat cat coming to this?
I used to be fat, but I've lost 40 pounds.
I, George Walker Bush,
preceding the main event is a non-stop round of fashion shows, dinners, and parties paid for by corporate sponsors who dropped $40 million, give or take a few cocktails. For $250,000, underwriters get 2 tickets to lunch with Mr. Bush and Mr. Cheney, 20 tickets to a dinner, and 80 tickets to the parade and the balls.
What it's about in the end is access. It's about making sure that they have a friend in the White House.
Hal Dobb runs the American Healthcare Association, which is in for $50 grand. Money, he says, that's for visibility, nothing else.
You put your $50,000 down and you buy $50,000 worth of influence.
I can guarantee you that the sum of money that may be a large sum of money to some doesn't turn any head in Washington.
Now, to be fair, a ton of money was spent on the Clinton inaugurals as well, and similar questions were raised. It's common criticism from opponents of the winner. But this year, add in a couple of uncommon elements.
One, we're at war. Critics say there's something unseemly about lavish parties when troops are dying. 2, the tsunami. Maybe the money's better spent on relief in Asia.
You can be equally concerned about our troops in Iraq and those who've suffered at the tsunamis with celebrating democracy.
Eisenhower had a full-scale inaugural during Korea. So did Nixon during Vietnam. FDR scaled back in 1945, but he was quite sick by then, says inaugural historian Jim Bendat.
Is this business as usual as far as inaugurals go, or is there something different about this?
Pretty much. It's pretty much business as usual. And a lot of people feel that maybe it shouldn't, but obviously it is.
So file it under "To the victor go the spoils." The winner on Election Day gets to celebrate democracy in the fashion he sees most fitting. Jim Axelrod, CBS News, Washington.
Builders can hardly keep up with demand for new homes. The government says construction went up nearly 11% last month, and with demand, CBS's Anthony Mason reports, come ever-increasing prices.
Everything comes with the apartment?
John DeLeo is just looking for an average one-bedroom apartment.
How many square feet?
A bit above 1,000.
But you don't get much for your money in New York City.
This is their closet, dressing area?
Yes.
Where the average price of an apartment is now more than $1 million.
Did you ever think you'd be spending $1 million on an apartment? No, I never did.
For that price, DeLeo says,
I thought I was going to be living in a mansion somewhere, not a one-bedroom, one-bathroom apartment at about 1,000 square feet.
It's right in the middle of Little Rock, so it's very, very convenient.
In Little Rock, Arkansas,
everything in the house has been redone.
For half the money,
3 bedrooms over here.
You'll get 3 times the space.
The vaulted ceiling and the wide plank pine floors.
But even here, buyers like Jacob and Brooke White know they have to act fast.
What's happening to prices in Little Rock?
They are going up. They are going up, up, and up.
In Little Rock, the average price of a house has now passed $150,000.
It's not a full-blown bubble yet. It could turn into a full-blown bubble.
In his report, Trouble Brews in the Housing Market, Goldman Sachs economist Jan Hatzius estimates house prices are now nearly 10% overvalued in the U.S. And if mortgage rates continue to rise, that could double.
The red-hot housing market, some predict, may be about to hit its peak. But so far, they're not scaring away the buyers. Do you think we're in a bubble?
I don't believe we're in a bubble.
Pamela Liebman, who heads New York's Corcoran Group, says demand is still strong.
I don't think we're going to see double-digit increases every year for the next 5 years, but we do not see real estate going down anytime soon.
I like the fireplace there. It's nice.
The cabinets are nice.
So for now, the most home buyers like Jacob and Brooke White can hope for is a slowdown.
Here's one of the bedrooms.
In prices going up.
It's quite large.
Anthony Mason, CBS News, Little Rock, Arkansas.
More stories are just a click away. But be sure to join me on television for the on-air edition of the CBS Evening News. On Thursday's broadcast, we'll have complete coverage of Inauguration Day 2005 from Washington. Also, we'll have the story of a soldier who lost a leg in Iraq. But if you think that will keep him from attending the inauguration, think again. For CBSNews.com, I'm Dan Rather.